Welcome to the Eerie Hour. Some places don't just haunt you, they wait. Tonight, we follow the map to a forgotten junction, a place where the road less traveled leads into the silence. If you enjoy descending into the strange and the forgotten, don't forget to like and subscribe, and share your theories below. Now, let's begin. But remember, once the story starts, something always follows. You miss the turn. The familiar exit for home blurs past in the rain-slicked twilight. Swallowed by the sweep of the wipers, a sigh escapes your lips, already tired from the drive. But then, through a break in the driving rain, another sign appears, almost entirely consumed by kudzu and rust. An exit you've never seen, marked only by a faded number. Curiosity, a dangerous passenger, nudges the wheel. You take it. The car crunches onto cracked asphalt, the sound unnaturally loud in the sudden quiet. Here the rain seems to fall differently, softer, as if muffled by the sheer weight of overgrown neglect. Twisted vines claw over splintered guardrails, reaching across the narrow lane like skeletal fingers. Nature isn't just reclaiming this place, it's suffocating it under a thick green blanket. The air itself feels heavy, motionless. There is no hum of insects, no rustle of unseen creatures in the undergrowth, no distant echo of traffic from the highway you just left. The stillness is profound, absolute, and deeply unsettlingly wrong. It presses in, making the small car feel suddenly vast and vulnerable. A prickle of unease crawls up your spine, but it's overshadowed by a strange fascination. What is this place? Why is it here, hidden in plain sight? And then, beneath the thick, oppressive silence, you hear it. A low, resonant frequency, vibrating not just in your ears, but seeming to hum from the very asphalt beneath the tires, from the dense thickets crowding the road. It's subtle, persistent, and feels less like a sound and more like a presence, a fundamental error in the natural order of things. This strange hum is the only sound that dares to exist in this forgotten corner of the world, and you follow it deeper. She grips the steering wheel, knuckles white, the hum of physical pressure behind her eyes. The road ahead disappears into the dense, silent green. Welcome to the Eerie Hour. Some places don't just haunt you, they wait. They lie in the forgotten corners of maps, in the static between stations, in the silences that linger just a beat too long. This is a story about such a place you might drive past 1,000 times without seeing, until the light shifts just so, or the hum finds the right frequency within you. We speak tonight of roads that appear only when you stop looking, of distances that stretch beyond measure, and of the quiet, persistent doubt that begins to erode the edges of your sanity. The air grows cool now, doesn't it? Feel the weight settle? If you enjoy descending into the strange and the forgotten, don't forget to like and subscribe, and share your theories below. Now, let's begin. But remember, once the story starts, something always follows. Expeditor expa, and dark green rectangle against the muted gray of the late afternoon sky, positioned for an exit you don't remember seeing before. It is blank, devoid of numbers or destination names, yet the shape itself feels compelling, a visual echo of a turn you somehow know you need to make. The surface beneath the tires is not asphalt, not concrete, but something else, granular and yielding, like driving on packed earth or finely crushed stone, though it looks smooth and gray. The air changes instantly, becoming thick and heavy, pressing in as if you've entered a different atmosphere entirely. A low hum, which had been a faint background note for miles, intensifies dramatically. It doesn't just grow louder, it gains a resonant quality, a vibration that seems to penetrate the car's frame, your seat, and then deep into the bones of your skull. It's a sound that feels felt as much as heard. You glance at the dashboard clock, and the numbers swim, blurring for a second, before resolving into a time that is impossible. Hours ahead, or perhaps behind. A jolt of disorientation twists in your gut. Did you just skip or stretch? Phantom sounds brush the edge of hearing. A distant rush of traffic that isn't there. A snatch of muffled voices that fade before you can parse them. It's like the road is trying to remember or invent the sounds of a world it is disconnected from. In the periphery, through the passenger window, you catch a flicker of movement. Not a car, not an animal, but something tall and impossibly thin, gone before you can focus, or perhaps it was never there at all, just a ripple in the distorted air. Then, a moment later, a structure that defies logic, a geometric shape hanging in the air above unseen supports, dark and silent against the pale sky. It is gone the moment you turn your head to confirm. The smell is distinct now, rising through the vents or perhaps seeping directly through the strange ground. The rich, cloying scent of damp earth after rain, but with a sharp, chemical tang layered beneath it, like ozone just before a storm. Confusion settles in, heavy and cold. You grip the steering wheel tighter, knuckles white. Your senses are lying to you. The road, the air, the sounds, the sights, none of it aligns with the rational world you just left behind. Doubt, sharp and insidious, begins to gnaw. Are you awake? Is this a dream? The hum vibrates deeper, and you realize it feels less like a sound and more like a presence, a vast, unseen entity that is aware of you, that perhaps called you here. You check your phone, a desperate reflex for confirmation of reality. No signal, just a blank screen where the bars should be, and the clock, still displaying that impossible time, seems to mock you with its broken stillness. The static is not on the screen, but in the air, in your head, a growing interference. Is this place even real? You wonder, and the silence that answers feels colder than it should. The strange, granular surface continues, the car tires making a soft, consistent shh that is utterly unnatural for pavement. The road ahead doesn't curve or dip. It stretches out in an unnerving straight line towards a horizon that seems too close, too flat. The impossible geometric shape from the periphery reappears, larger now, directly ahead, shimmering slightly as if seen through heat haze. Though the air is cool and thick, it is vast, angular, and utterly silent, disrupting the expected line of the sky. It doesn't belong here. It doesn't belong anywhere. The hum deepens, now a physical pressure against your eardrums, resonating inside your chest cavity. It's no longer just sound, it's sensation, a vibration that seems to be retuning your own internal frequency. The phantom sounds become clearer, more insistent. Not just distant traffic now, but whispers, fragments of conversation you can't quite distinguish, though they seem to swirl just outside the closed windows. And beneath the whispers, a low, guttural clicking, irregular and mechanical. The smell of damp earth and ozone intensifies, becoming almost overwhelming, mixed now with a faint, metallic tang, like old pennies or blood. Panic is a cold, hard knot in your stomach. You press the accelerator, wanting to pass the impossible structure, to get through whatever this is. But the car doesn't respond normally. The engine revs, the hum grows louder, but the speed barely increases. It's like the road itself is resisting forward motion, stretching out infinitely before you. You try to turn back, to find the off-ramp you came from, but the road behind you is gone, vanished. There is only this endless, straight, gray path stretching into an identical, featureless distance. This is no longer just confusion. It is absolute dread, the dawning horror of being irrevocably trapped in a place that shouldn't exist. You are lost, not just geographically, but existentially. The phone remains dead, the clock frozen on the wrong time, a constant, silent scream of reality distorted. The static is not just on the screen. It feels like it is filling the car, making your skin prickle. It interferes with thought, makes it hard to focus, hard to form a coherent plan beyond a primal urge to flee. The hum resolves slightly, and you realize it carries a subtle, repeating pattern. A sequence of tones that feel almost like language, ancient and alien. Is it speaking, you think? The idea both terrifying and strangely compelling. The static pulses with the hum, two sides of the same coin, a signal from somewhere that is not here. The road isn't just gone behind you. It was never really there in the first place, was it? You are driving on a lie, a manifestation of something that exists only in the static. The car finally slows, not because you willed it, but as if the road itself has absorbed its momentum. It comes to a complete stop directly beneath the impossible structure, which now hovers silently above, its dark angles blotting out a section of the sky. Up close, the structure seems to be made of interwoven lines of pure blackness, absorbing light rather than reflecting it, creating a chilling absence against the gray sky. The hum is deafening here, vibrating through your bones, rattling your teeth. It is no longer a sound, but a physical force pressing down. You push open the car door, the motion stiff and unnatural against the air's resistance. Stepping out, the granular surface feels spongy, almost alive underfoot. The smell of damp earth, ozone, and metal is overpowering, thick enough to taste, coppery and sweet on your tongue. The environment around the road is not woods or fields, but a low, gray, undulating plain that stretches out in every direction, empty, save for occasional, slender black monoliths that rise like silent sentinels from the ground, mirroring the angles of the structure above. These monoliths pulse faintly with the rhythm of the hum. The phantom sounds are no longer whispers. They are clear, distinct voices now, speaking in a language you don't understand, yet somehow recognize on a fundamental level. They seem to come from the monoliths, from the air, from inside your own head. One voice is clearer than the others, a low, resonant tone that seems to speak directly to a place deep within your memory, stirring fragments you thought were lost. A sense of profound unreality washes over you, a disconnection from everything you thought was true. You look at your hands, your car, and they feel foreign, like props in a play you didn't audition for. The psychological fracture is complete. You no longer trust anything you perceive. The static is visible now. It shimmers in the air around the monoliths, a veil of visual distortion, like heat haze, but cold and sharp. It follows the lines of the impossible structure, coalescing and dispersing like intelligent mist. It seems to be flowing from the monoliths, converging on the structure above. The dead phone in your pocket feels like a lead weight, a useless artifact from a world that no longer exists. This static is the language here, the signal. Is the static the source? You wonder, watching it swirl and shift, realizing it's not just interference, but a pattern, a code. The impossible structure above shifts slightly, and you feel a sickening lurch in your stomach, as if the world is folding in on itself. You are standing on the edge of something vast and incomprehensible, and it is pulling you in. The voices from the monoliths swell, no longer a chaotic chorus, but a directed, layered transmission. Some speak in the alien, recognized language, others in tones that mimic human speech but carry an inhuman resonance. They overlap, creating a disorienting symphony of impossible sound that is both terrifying and strangely hypnotic. The giant structure above begins to emit a low, resonant click, mirroring the sound you heard faintly in the car, but amplified now to a scale that shakes the ground beneath your feet. It is a sound of immense, complex machinery turning, and you realize the structure is not static. It is active, processing something vast and unseen. A segment of the nearest monolith dissolves into a cascade of shimmering static, revealing not rock, but a window, or perhaps a screen, displaying rapidly shifting patterns of light and shadow. Within the patterns, fleeting images resolve, impossible landscapes, geometric forms that twist and reshape themselves, and briefly, faces that seem to observe you with chilling indifference. This is the central supernatural event, direct, interactive communication from the anomaly. It is showing you something. Information or disinformation? The air around you grows intensely cold, a localized pocket of freezing temperature that feels like a deliberate external sensation, not natural. It clings to your skin, seeps into your clothes, a stark contrast to the thick, ambient pressure of the hum. It carries the metallic tang more strongly now, like pure, liquid ozone crystallizing on your tongue. This extreme cold is the vivid atmospheric detail, a physical manifestation of the unnatural environment. The psychological fracture deepens into a profound detachment. Fear is still present, a cold knot in your gut, but it is overlaid with a strange calmness, a fatalistic acceptance. The bizarre images in the monolith screen, the alien voices, the impossible structure. It's too much to process, too far beyond the boundaries of known reality. Your mind simply surrenders, dissociating from the immediate terror. You are observing this, but you are not truly here. You feel a chilling sense of being an exhibit, studied, categorized. Am I a part of this now? The thought drifts through the detached haze. The static is no longer just visual interference. It is informational. The patterns on the monolith screen are static made visible, structured and purposeful. The voices seem to emanate from the static itself. Your useless phone feels hot in your pocket now, buzzing faintly with a residual energy that feels like a distorted echo of the hum. The motif is fully realized. This place is a domain of pure signal, of raw, untranslated reality, and the static is the barrier, the language, the trap. The impossible structure clicks again, and the monolith screen flickers, showing your own face for a fleeting second, overlaid with shimmering static, before dissolving back into alien patterns. You see your own eyes, wide and vacant, staring back from a place that is not your own reflection. The clicking from the structure above intensifies, a rhythmic, relentless sound that seems to be counting down to some unseen event. The monolith screens surrounding you flicker and change more rapidly, their alien patterns weaving together with increasing complexity. The voices become a cacophony, each one vying for attention, yet the central resonant voice remains distinct, urging you towards something you don't understand. The air crackles with static energy, and the cold is now unbearable, a deep ache in your bones. One of the monolith screens resolves into a single, clear image, a road, familiar yet subtly wrong, stretching into the distance under a normal-looking sky. It is the road you were on before you turned, but it is overlaid with a network of fine, shimmering lines, like a blueprint or a circuit diagram. The supernatural event is the revelation that this place, this anomaly, is connected to the real world, superimposed upon it, perhaps manipulating its pathways. It shows you the connection, the vulnerability. The texture of the air changes again, becoming not just cold, but viscous, like breathing liquid. It coats your tongue with the metallic taste. But now there's a new sensation, a slight, persistent vibration on your skin, as if tiny particles are constantly falling and clinging to you. This chilling, tactile atmospheric detail is the final layer of physical discomfort, making simply existing here agonizing. The psychological residue of detachment begins to give way to a crushing sense of despair and loss. Looking at the image of the real road on the screen, you feel a wave of homesickness so profound it's like a physical blow. You remember faces, places, moments that now seem impossibly distant, lost behind a veil of static and impossible time. The fracture turns to grief for a life you may never return to, perhaps a life that no longer exists as you remember it. Was any of it real? The question is a fresh, tearing wound. The static is now the dominant motif. It doesn't just fill the air, it feels like it is seeping into your body, rearranging your thoughts, blurring your memories. The dead phone in your pocket vibrates constantly now, not with calls, but with a low, insistent pulse that matches the clicking of the structure above. The monolith screens show more images of the real world, distorted, overlain with static, as if this place is watching, analyzing, perhaps replicating. The ambiguous line is the image of the road on the screen, familiar but wrong, a promise or a threat. Is it showing you a way back, or simply reminding you of what you've lost, proving it holds the blueprint for your reality? The clicking reaches a crescendo. Psst! The clicking fades abruptly, replaced by a silence that feels even heavier than the hum it succeeded. The immense structure above is still there, silent and dark, but the pressure is gone. The monolith screens flicker one last time, dissolving into static that quickly dissipates into the gray air. The extreme cold recedes, leaving a phantom ache in your bones. The air thins, no longer viscous, no longer smelling of ozone and metal, though the faint scent of damp earth lingers. You stand on the strange, granular surface, the silence vast and unnerving, the gray, undulating plain, and the silent monoliths are still there, receding into the featureless distance. But somehow, the oppressive, alien quality has lessened, replaced by a profound, aching emptiness. It's over for now. The immediate horror has passed, leaving behind its psychological residue. Your mind feels scoured, raw. Memory is fragmented, certain periods hazy, overlaid with that persistent mental static. The experience is not something you can simply shake off. It has rewritten something fundamental about how you perceive the world. You know with chilling certainty that the road you turned onto was not just a place, but an event, and it happened to you. You look at your hands. They are real. You touch your face. It is yours. Yet the conviction behind these simple truths feels brittle, easily shattered. The unanswered questions echo in the silence. What was the structure? What were the voices? What were the images on the screens? Was it a different dimension? A place outside of time? Or something else entirely? Something that exists alongside our world, unseen, unheard, until it chooses to reveal itself. You reach into your pocket. The phone is cold now, silent. You pull it out. The signal bars are back. The time is correct, startlingly familiar after the impossible numbers it displayed before. But the screen is cracked, a fine spiderwebbing pattern spreading from the center, like frozen static made visible. It is the motif's final appearance, a physical scar left by the intangible. The crack wasn't there before. The road is gone. The hum is gone. The visual anomalies are gone. But the static remains, etched onto the surface of your connection to the world. A constant reminder. You know it's still there, waiting. Perhaps on another blank sign, or in the next moment, the clock seems to skip. And if you hear it again tonight, don't answer. Not yet. Welcome to the Eerie Hour. Some places don't just haunt you, they wait. They settle in the quiet corners of the world, gathering dust and memory and something else entirely. They hum with a frequency just below hearing, vibrating through the soles of your shoes, settling in your bones. This is the frequency of places that refuse to be forgotten, places that remember you, even when you try desperately to forget them. It's a frequency that calls to something deep inside, something that shouldn't be disturbed. But disturbance is inevitable, isn't it? Like a forgotten song, once heard, it lodges itself behind your eyes, echoing in the space just beyond your peripheral vision. You turn your head, but nothing is there. Or is it? If you enjoy descending into the strange and the forgotten, don't forget to like and subscribe, and share your theories below. Now, let's begin. But remember, once the story starts, something always follows. Section 1. The air here tastes of ozone and regret. You step onto the peeling asphalt of the abandoned exit ramp, and the expected silence isn't there. Instead, a low thrum vibrates through the ground, a sound felt more than heard, settling in your chest cavity like trapped breath. The highway you left behind seems to melt into the heat haze, unreal, a memory already fading. Ahead, the road winds into a tunnel of trees whose leaves hang unnaturally still, heavy with an unseen weight. She stands beside the car, hands gripping the roof rack, her knuckles white. Her eyes are wide, fixed on the entrance to the tunnel. The sound is louder here, making the small hairs on the back of your neck prickle. It isn't natural. It feels like a slow, deliberate inhale from something vast and unseen. A shadow detaches itself from the base of a large oak by the roadside, stretching impossibly long across the asphalt before snapping back into place. You blink, but it's gone. Just a normal patch of shade now. But you saw it move. She hasn't moved, hasn't spoken, since you turned off the main road. Her silence is heavy, heavier than the air. A single drop of condensation, impossibly cold, runs down the inside of the passenger window, even though the air outside is warm. It leaves a clean streak on the grime. Her reflection stares back from the glass, but it seems flatter than usual, somehow, like a painted image. You wonder if she sees the same shadow play, feels the same unsettling vibration underfoot. The hum deepens, a note shifting almost imperceptibly, and a cold dread begins to pool in your stomach. This is more than just an abandoned road, it's waiting. Section 2. The path forward twists, the asphalt crumbling underfoot. Edges feathered with dry, forgotten weeds. The hum intensifies with every step, pressing in on your ears, a physical presence now. It feels like being submerged in thick honey. The air grows heavier. The silence between the hum's pulses unnerving. The trees crowding the sides of the road are older than they should be, their bark like scaled skin, their branches reaching overhead like skeletal fingers. Shadows cling to their bases, pools of absolute dark that seem to writhe just at the edge of sight. You look back at the car. It seems smaller now, further away than it should be. The highway completely vanished behind a curtain of shimmering heat and distortion. She walks beside you now, her steps mechanical, her gaze still fixed ahead. Her eyes are unnaturally bright, reflecting the dull sky. A sense of profound disorientation washes over you. How long have you been walking? Minutes or hours? The sun hasn't moved. It hangs low and orange on the horizon, a bruised eye watching your progress. The atmospheric detail here is the smell, a faint, coppery tang like old blood, mixed with something sickly sweet like decaying flowers. It makes your teeth ache. The shadows deepen, gathering under the twisted branches. They aren't just patches of an absence of light. They possess a texture, a weight. You feel their cool presence on your skin as you pass. This place isn't just quiet, it actively suppresses sound, swallowing your footsteps, leaving only the omnipresent hum and the soft, dry scrape of your clothes against the still air. Is it possible the road loops back on itself? The thought sends a shiver down your spine. You reach out to touch her arm, but she flinches away, her skin cold, her movement too quick, too jerky. The shadows seem to lean in closer as the hum pulses again, a low, guttural throb that seems to vibrate within your own skull. Section 3. Deeper into the exit's embrace, the remnants of those who came before litter the asphalt. Rusted fragments of metal, once fenders or doors, dot the roadside like scattered teeth. A signpost lies on its side, warped and melted, the arrow pointing back the way you came, now a smear of indistinguishable color, like a half-formed thought. An abandoned child's shoe sits squarely in the middle of the lane, impossibly clean, its laces neatly tied. The hum here is no longer just a vibration. It's a constant pressure behind your eyes, a dull ache in your temples. And within it, faint at first, then clearer, you hear them. Whispers, distorted, overlapping, they slither just below the threshold of understanding, like voices speaking underwater. You strain to catch a word, a phrase, but they scatter like startled birds. The environment responds to the sound. Trees twist further, their trunks corkscrewing into grotesque shapes. The sky overhead briefly shifts from its bruised orange to a sickly, bruised green before snapping back, leaving a residue of unease. The texture of the road feels wrong under your shoes. It's slick and strangely yielding in places, like walking on old, dried blood. Paranoia claws at your throat. You feel watched, not just by the still, silent trees or the unchanging sky, but by something unseen, lurking just beyond perception. Every rustle of a leaf, though the air is still, feels like a deliberate signal. Every shift in the whispers feels like a secret shared about you. The shadows here don't just lie on the ground. They stretch and writhe, seeming to detach themselves from the objects that cast them, moving independently. One long, thin shadow snakes across the road towards you. You feel trapped, the entrance and exit swallowed by the unsettling landscape. Was there always something here, or did you bring it with you? Section 4. The whispers in the hum solidify, occasionally forming broken fragments of sound that tease your understanding. A name, maybe, or a single sharp syllable of warning. It's impossible to be sure. The sounds shifting and distorting like heat haze. The oppressive weight of being watched intensifies, a physical pressure on your back. You keep glancing over your shoulder, expecting to see figures just within the tree line. But there's only the dense, unnatural foliage and the deep, hungry shadows. The air here is thin, making it hard to breathe deeply. Every inhalation feels insufficient, as if the air itself is resisting. She stops walking, stands perfectly still, facing the twisted trees. Her head is tilted as if listening to something you cannot hear, even over the whispers. Her skin is clammy, almost translucent. You call her name, but she doesn't respond. Her eyes are open, but focused on something far away, or maybe something very close that exists only for her. The recurring motif of shadows is overwhelming here. They seem to pool and deepen in crevices, gather around the base of the twisted trees, and stretch impossibly long across the decaying asphalt, irrespective of the unchanging sun. A specific shadow, longer and darker than the others, seems to detach itself from the roadside and slither towards her. It flows like liquid darkness. This feels less like a physical place and more like a memory, a bad one, being replayed just for you. Can you ever truly leave a place that remembers you? The thought echoes the question in the whispers. You reach for her again, and this time, her hand snaps out, impossibly fast, gripping your wrist with bone-jarring strength. Her grip is icy cold, and her eyes, when she finally turns them on you, are empty of recognition. Section 5. Her grip is like iron, cold and unyielding. Her empty gaze bores into you, and the whispers in the hum seem to focus, sharpening into a single piercing note that resonates in your teeth. It's not just paranoia now, it's certainty. You are being watched, observed, perhaps even catalogued. The thing watching isn't in the trees, it's in the air, in the asphalt, in the very structure of this place. The supernatural event here is her presence, or lack thereof. It's not her holding your wrist, it's something else, using her body like a puppet. Her lips part, and a sound comes out that isn't a whisper from the hum, but something deeper, a wet, clicking noise, utterly devoid of human inflection. The most vivid atmospheric detail is the light itself. The unchanging orange sun seems to cast shadows that are too dark, too sharp, consuming detail rather than defining it. Objects look flat, two-dimensional, like cutouts against the strange, dimensionless landscape. The psychological fracture is complete. Reality feels porous. Unreliable. You question your own senses, your own memories of how you got here, who she is. Are you even on a road? The shadows around her feet coalesce, darkening the ground in a small radius. They seem to possess a faint internal light, like embers, only black. The single, serpentine shadow that slithered towards her in the previous section now seems to coil around her legs like a pet snake. Is she a part of this place now, or was she always meant to be? The pressure on your wrist increases, threatening to crush bone. You see your reflection in her unblinking eyes, but the reflection isn't looking at her. It's looking behind her, eyes wide with a terror that your conscious mind hasn't yet fully processed. And the reflection isn't alone in her eyes. There are shapes in the background, shapes the actual scene doesn't contain, shadows within shadows. Section 6. The grip releases as suddenly as it began, leaving a burning imprint on your skin. She sways slightly, then her eyes flicker, a spark of something human returning to them, though it's quickly extinguished, leaving only exhaustion and a deep confusion. The oppressive hum begins to recede, like a tide pulling back from the shore, taking the whispers with it. The unnatural tension in the air slowly dissipates, replaced by a silence that feels merely empty, not actively hostile. The trees still twist grotesquely, but the feeling of them watching has lessened, replaced by the simple, unsettling knowledge of their deformity. The light from the orange sun softens slightly, losing its harsh two-dimensional quality. The pervasive sense of being trapped lessens, replaced by a hollow fatigue. You can breathe again, though each breath feels thin and unsatisfying, like inhaling dust. The shadows, the ever-present motif, still lie across the asphalt and under the trees. But they are just shadows now, dark shapes cast by light, devoid of independent life or movement. They don't writhe, they lie still. Yet you look at them differently, forever aware of the moment they flowed like water, the moment they seemed to watch. The psychological residue lingers, a cold knot of fear and doubt, twisted with the strange, silent knowledge gained here. What was this place? What did you hear? What did you see in her eyes? The abandoned shoe is still there, unnervingly neat. The melted sign still points to nowhere. The hum is gone, but the silence it leaves behind is heavy with unanswered questions. Did you escape it, or merely step outside its active attention? And if you hear it again tonight, don't answer. Not yet. The hum, a constant thrumming pressure against the inner ear, shudders. Not a fade, but an instantaneous snap, like a thread cut clean. It is gone, replaced by an oppressive silence. A silence that is not just an absence of noise, but a palpable weight pressing down from all sides. You stumble, hands flying out to steady yourself against a wall that feels unexpectedly rough, damp beneath your fingers. The air, thick with the vanished resonance, now hangs inert and heavy, suffocating. It feels wrong, deeply, fundamentally wrong. How long have you been here? The thought surfaces like a cold stone rising in still water. The question holds no answer. Minutes? Hours? Days? The concept of time seems to warp, twisting away from your grasp. You try to recall the path you took, the reason you came to this place, but the details splinter, dissolving like mist in sunlight. Why are you here? A chill deeper than the damp air snakes up your spine. You must have had a reason, something important. But the space in your mind where that memory should be is empty, vast, and echoing with the phantom hum that is no longer there. This is not forgetting. This is memory unraveling, thread by thread, leaving only frayed ends you cannot grasp. Fleeting shapes swim at the edge of your vision, not solid forms, but shimmers, like heat haze rising from asphalt, except cold. Brief flashes of something you cannot name. A hand reaching, a door closing. They vanish the moment you try to focus. Your heart hammers against your ribs, a frantic drummer against the suffocating silence. Am I losing my mind? The question hangs in the air, heavy and unanswered. You blink, trying to clear the phantoms from your sight, but they persist. Glimpses of a reality that feels both familiar and utterly alien. Ahead, the floor dips slightly, holding a shallow pool of dark water, likely seepage from the walls. As you near it, drawn despite yourself by some unseen force, a sudden clarity flares within the murky surface. A reflection stares back. Not your own face. Not entirely. It is distorted, elongated, the features blurred as if seen through warped glass. But there is a terrifying familiarity there, a twist of the mouth or a shadow in the eyes that feels like a hidden part of yourself, or perhaps someone else entirely that you should know. The reflection holds for a breath, unnervingly sharp in its distortion, before the water ripples from an unseen vibration, shattering the image into meaningless fragments. The silence is broken only by the frantic pulse in your ears and the ragged catch of your own breath. What was that? The oppressive stillness begins to vibrate again. Not the hum, not yet. More like a tremor beneath the floor, a low growl rising from the very stone. It is not sound, but a sensation, an anticipation of sound. The air grows colder, the silence taut, stretched thin, like a drum skin about to break. You press your hands to your ears, as if this could ward off what is coming. But you know it is useless. The absence was a temporary mercy, a pause before the next descent. The hum returns, not creeping, but surging, crashing over you in a wave of resonant pressure, deeper and stronger than before. It fills the silence, filling you, pushing against the fragile walls of your mind, making you wonder if the things you just saw, the thoughts you just had, were ever real at all. Were they echoes from the silence, or simply released? The new hum vibrates with a malevolent intensity, carrying within it the chilling implication that something fundamental has shifted, and you are now deeper than you ever knew. Welcome to the Eerie Hour. Some places don't just haunt you, they wait. Like this road, stretching out under a sky the color of bruised metal, leading where it shouldn't. There's a sound here, you see, or you feel it first. A low thrumming that started somewhere far off, a vibration in the soles of your shoes against the cracked asphalt. They say it's just the wind, or maybe distant machinery. But you know better. It has a pulse that doesn't match anything natural. It draws you forward, though you can't recall choosing to follow. You walk toward the sound, leaving the world behind like shedding a skin you no longer need, or perhaps one that was never yours to begin with. There's a stillness here that is louder than any noise. No birds sing, no insects hum, only it and you. If you're out there listening through the noise, if you enjoy descending into the strange and the forgotten, like I have, remember this and share what you find below. Now, let's begin. But remember, once the story starts, something always follows. The road stretches before you, gray and fractured like old bone. and the sound is no longer just a feeling in your feet. It presses in from all sides, a deep, resonant hum that you can almost taste on your tongue, like stale metal and something else, something sour and ancient. It feels less like a sound and more like a pressure building inside your skull. She glances back the way she came, but the landscape seems to have folded in on itself. The familiar marker, the twisted oak, is gone, replaced by a repetition of the fractured road, an unsettling sameness stretching back into a hazy, indistinct distance. Panic tries to bloom, a sharp, cold flower in her chest, but the hum seems to dampen it, smoothing out the sharp edges of fear into a dull, persistent unease. There's a flicker in the periphery of her vision, like heat haze, but the air is cool. It resolves, or perhaps you just focus on it, into a shimmering distortion that isn't quite transparent. Within it, for a fleeting second, you see movement that isn't fluid, like an old film skipping frames, accompanied by a low, almost inaudible crackle that mirrors the ever-present hum. It's the sound of static, made visible, dancing at the edges of this place. She wonders if she imagined it, if the pressure is affecting her sight. But the taste of metal in her mouth is undeniable, and the air grows heavy, thick with an unseen presence. The road continues, unchanging, drawing you deeper into its strange continuity. It's only a road, you tell yourself. It has to lead somewhere. Doesn't it? The static isn't just a flicker now. It's woven into the very air around you, a constant, shimmering veil that makes the world look wrong. The hum has intensified, becoming a physical thing that vibrates in your teeth, rattling the bones in your jaw. It feels like standing too close to a massive, idling engine hidden just below the surface of reality. She raises a hand to her ear, trying to press out the invasive thrum. But it's inside her now, a frequency resonating within her own skull. The cracked asphalt underfoot has changed subtly. The fissures don't look random anymore. They form vague, repeating patterns, complex geometries that make no earthly sense, pulsing faintly with that internal static light. As you walk, the road begins to incline slightly, though the landscape remains stubbornly flat and featureless around it. The horizon seems closer than it should be, a blurred line under the oppressive sky. A low whisper threads itself through the hum, too indistinct to form words, but carrying a distinct inflection of interest. It feels like being watched, studied, not with eyes, but with a different, more invasive sense. She stops, listening intently, straining to decipher the sound, but it pulls back, coy and elusive, leaving only the dominant, vibrating hum and the constant, visual static. Doubt begins to seep into her mind. Is this a road? Or is it something else entirely? Something built or grown for a purpose you cannot grasp. The pressure in your head tightens, urging you forward, always forward. The air has become impossibly still. The hum is a tangible weight now, pressing down on your shoulders, pushing against your chest. It resonates so deeply that the world around you seems to blur at the edges, the visual static intensifying into a swirling fog that obscures details. The road beneath your feet is no longer merely cracked. Sections of it appear to shimmer and warp, as if seen through distorted glass, the strange repeating patterns in the fissures glowing faintly with an internal light. She feels a peculiar lightness in her limbs, a disorienting sensation that makes each step feel like walking through water or on the surface of the moon. Gravity feels less important here. Ahead, through the vibrating static haze, a structure begins to take shape. It doesn't look built. It looks formed. Dark, angular, and impossibly still against the shifting distortions around it. It appears to absorb the static rather than reflect it. The hum originates from there. You know it instinctively, the source of this pervasive, unsettling vibration. As you approach, a low, resonant groan seems to emanate from the structure itself, a sound that sinks into your very core, chilling you despite the absence of cold. She feels a sudden, overwhelming sense of dislocation, unsure of who she is or why she is here. The structure waits, silent and immense, and you are drawn to it, like a moth to a flame, or perhaps a signal to its receiver. This is where the road ends, or perhaps where it begins. You stand before the structure, and the hum is no longer just sound or pressure. It is a physical force. It slams into you like a wave, vibrating not just in your bones, but through them, rattling your teeth, making your vision swim with points of light. Pressure builds excruciatingly in your ears, as if descending rapidly from a great height, and your skin tingles with an uncomfortable, persistent warmth. The ground beneath your feet trembles slightly, a deep, resonant shudder that mirrors the hum's frequency. Around the base of the structure, the air is thick with visible static, a furious, crackling haze that obscures its edges, making it seem impossibly vast and unknowable. Then, things begin to move, not subtly. A loose stone near your foot scrapes sideways an inch on its own. A piece of debris lifts slowly into the air, hanging suspended for a moment before dropping back down with a soft thud. Gravity feels wrong, capricious. You feel a distinct non-visual pressure against your mind, like something vast and formless is pushing in, not with thoughts, but with pure intent, an urge to step closer, to touch the structure, to yield. Terror, sharp and absolute, seizes you, but the sheer intensity of the hum and the palpable force overwhelm it. It's too much to fight. The fear washes over you, breaks, and then, strangely, dissipates, leaving behind a chilling, hollow calm. A forced acceptance settles in. You notice now that the complex geometric pattern seen faintly in the road fissures is etched into the dark material of the structure itself, recurring everywhere, central and dominant. This is not a place you arrived at. This is a place you were led to. The hum is here, and it wants something. The hum begins to recede, pulling back like a tide that has reached its peak and now ebbs, leaving a strange, echoing quiet in its wake. The physical pressure eases from your ears. The tingling fades from your skin, and the ground settles into stillness. The visible static around the structure thins, though it doesn't disappear entirely, lingering like mist. The objects that were suspended have fallen, lying still on the ground, mundane once more. The terrifying, palpable presence seems to withdraw, leaving behind only a vast, empty silence that feels heavier than the hum ever did. She looks back at the structure. It is still there, dark and angular, but without the overwhelming force radiating from it. It looks merely ancient and formidable, its impossible geometry stark against the muted sky. But the chilling calm remains, a residue of the breakdown, a strange, unsettling acceptance. It wasn't just fear that broke. Something else did too. A part of your resistance, perhaps, or your sense of self. The complex pattern is still visible on the structure, unchanging, a permanent scar on reality. It's burned into your mind now too. You close your eyes, and you can still see the static behind your eyelids, feel the ghost vibration in your bones. The road back is visible again, stretching out into the hazy distance, but it looks different. It looks unfamiliar. The experience has left a mark, a psychological residue that you know will not fade. The questions linger, vast and unanswered. What was the hum? What was the presence? What is the structure? And what did it do to you? And if you hear it again tonight, don't answer. Not yet. The asphalt is gray, cracked in familiar places. Trees stand tall and green beside the shoulder, casting long, late-afternoon shadows. It is a road you know. The oppressive weight is gone. The low, insistent hum that vibrated through bone and air has vanished, leaving only the memory of its pressure. You are back, or seem to be. But the silence isn't empty. There's a subtle resonance now, deep within, like a tuning fork struck somewhere behind the sternum. A quiet echo of impossible frequencies. The air smells clean, mostly of pine and damp earth, until a sudden sharp tang of ozone prickles the back of your throat, exactly as it did just before. You flinch, scanning the empty road, the harmless trees. Your phone, tucked away, buzzes with frantic static bursts, even though there's no signal here, no storm on the horizon. The static, thin and sharp like shards of glass, feels like a forgotten melody, trying to assert itself over the mundane sounds of the world. Is this real, or just the final act of a mind that has fractured under impossible stress? Paranoia is a constant companion now, whispering that the car behind you is too close, that the distant sound of wind is actually the hum returning. Memory of the exit is a broken mirror, flashes of white light, a tearing sound, a cold final despair, but no clear path back. Was it a path or a collapse? Are you truly free of it, or merely existing in a state where its influence is simply less overt? The line between the world you knew and the place you escaped has blurred, perhaps permanently. The road stretches ahead, solid and predictable, yet you feel no comfort. The internal resonance persists, a silent promise or threat. The static on electronics, the phantom ozone smell, they are not glitches, they are reminders. The hum isn't gone, it's inside you, or it is following, a shadow that has learned to mimic stillness. You escaped, yes, but you did not leave it behind. It is intertwined now, a part of the gray asphalt, the green trees, the air you breathe. The road that follows you is no longer just the one under your tires. And if you hear it again tonight, don't answer. Not yet.